What's good? It's your boy K-Blao, HeadX, www.headx.com. We're doing today's jewel for November 2nd, 2013. This is the Wizard of Oz avatar. The Wizard of Oz avatar is the negative avatar of the fire signs that Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. If you ever seen the film Wizard of Oz, there's a scene where Dorothy, the Tin Man, and the Scarecrow, and the Lion go see the wizard. And when they go see him, he's like, "What do you want?" And they're like, "We're here to see you." He's like, "Go away. Come back some other day." And he got this smoke and he got this fire, rising up. And it's intimidating them. And they were terrified. And the dog, Toto, ran over behind and pulled back. He pulled back the curtain. And they saw the real wizard for who he really was, and they found out that this whole image he was putting up was just a facade. And even though they had exposed him, he still kept the illusion going. He still wanted to put on this front, and that's when he said, "Never mind the man behind the curtain." And even though he had exposed himself, and he still wanted to keep the front going. So a lot of times, everybody likes to wake up and have a good day, but there's certain triggers that would trigger you to fall into a negative spiral. And if you're a fire sign, your triggers are different from anybody else's triggers. Your triggers are more based on your perception, as far as if you feel like you've been upstaged, if you feel like you come in second place. A lot of times, if you feel like you've been challenged, directly challenged, or subliminally challenged, you'll kind of turn into the Wizard of Oz, and you'll kind of put on this image of a very intimidating, challenging type of person. Especially if you've been drinking, or some fire signs who got drug issues, drug addiction, stuff like that. They really got this really bad where they just try to upstage or try to get people back because they getting their Wizard of Oz on. There's definitely a issue that comes into an ego. Being able to balance your ego versus your true self. If you study tarot, the Nine of Wands is the internal card for the wands, which means for the fire signs, which means that this is a symbol of a guy who's basically defending himself. He's on guard. That's because he basically just got out of a. If you go back to the Seven of Wands, what you'll see is fire signs. They like a good competition. They like a good, they like to turn up a little bit. They like to get it cracking. They like to, kind of go back and forth. They like, I don't want to say drama, but it's life. Like fire really means life. So the drama that plays out is kind of what the fire signs are kind of attracted to. They don't like no lames. They don't like nobody who too factual. They don't like nobody too emotional. They like people who know how to kick it, people who cool, people who do things kind of at a leisure. And like me being an air sign, a lot of times, it took me a while to learn, how to just kind of intermingle with a fire sign, because they don't really like to do things as work. They kind of do things as a leisure. And a lot of times me, like, I'm an air sign, so a lot of times when we work hard. And a lot of times we expect that in the people that we're dealing with, but a lot of fire signs, they do things kind of at their leisure. So that can naturally cause static in between, communication barriers and things like that. So, and it naturally causes a fire sign to turn more into the Wizard of Oz, turns me into a White Rabbit avatar. So like different expectations as far as what you expect from people versus what people really are. A lot of times you got to put that in check. And a fire sign is a really good way to learn how to, people, everybody's not like you. Sometimes people kind of do things at a leisure. So that's what fire signs are. They like to kick it. They like to have a good time. And they don't want to take nothing too serious. They don't want to get too far off on a tangent. They like to have people around laughing and having a good time. And if anybody trying to go against that, it's like, man, how dare you go against me? I'm just trying to have a good time. And that's when they kind of turn into that avatar, that Wizard of Oz. So it's very important that not only that fire signs understand that they have to have a really good balance of their ego. They got to have a good balance of how they perceive challenges. Life ain't a competition. Life ain't a challenge. So, a lot of times you got to kind of tone down the competition aspect of how you view certain situations. And a really good way to do that is kind of look at in the tarot cards. There's a card, this 7 of Wands, which is it's basically a bunch of kids fighting. They're play fighting. No, they're not really fighting, but they're kind of play fighting. And that's kind of how a lot of fire signs are. They like to kind of play fight. It's not too serious, but they kind of like you see a bunch of people at a bar drinking, having a good time, laughing, kind of cracking on each other, friendly cracking on each other a little bit. That's kind of what the 7 of Wands is kind of symbolizing. And that's kind of how fire signs like to hang out. They like to have a good time, laugh, maybe have a couple drinks, stuff like that. And kind of crack on each other a little bit. That's what they're comfortable in that realm. A water sign may not necessarily be comfortable in that realm, or like a certain air signs may not necessarily be comfortable in that realm. Certain pinnacle earth signs, they might not be too comfortable in that realm. So instead of understanding that certain people aren't necessarily comfortable in that realm, fire signs will kind of turn into the Wizard of Oz and kind of defend themselves. And it's important that you understand that that's part of your nature, and the more you can overcome that and kind of look beyond yourself a little bit more, it'll give you a much more better balance as far as dealing with situations. And I'll give you a quick story. My aunt is a Sagittarius. I remember one time we was at a birthday party, and she was about to cut the cake, but there was no knife. And I remember she grabbed the knife from the kitchen. She came back, and then there was a whole nother, it was my other aunt was in there cutting the cake and passing out slices of cake, and I could see that she was really, like, not devastated, she was really upset, because I guess she had seen herself doing just that, and this other woman had did it, and everybody's like, oh, thank you, thanking her, and, and my aunt really had a hard time dealing with that, and I instantly was able to sum that situation up just by looking at it, because, she kind of went into a negative spiral a little bit, and I was able to see that. So I was able to understand her triggers, a lot more just by looking at it. Another situation, I remember my stepmom, she's a Leo, and we were at, my father was dying when he had cancer, and there was alkaline water that we were trying to give him to help him, and she made alkaline ice, and my uncle went in and grabbed some ice out the freezer, and he didn't fill the water back up, and he put the ice back in the ice tray back in the freezer, and she came to him, she said, who put the ice tray back in the freezer, without filling the water back up? And he was like, me. She was like, why would you do this? And he said, because you said we were doing alkaline ice, that's regular water, I didn't want to mix the alkaline ice with the with the regular ice. She was like, oh, that's when, and she was like, oh, okay. Well, she felt a little bit embarrassed, but I could see that, that Wizard of Oz had came out of her. As a matter of fact, I've told that story to several Leos and Sagittarius before, and even in the middle of me telling them that story, they're like, oh, that drives me crazy, because, and it really helped me understand, y'all kind of get really, too defensive or too competitive sometimes. You got to kind of remember the Wizard of Oz avatar. That's how it looks to other people who aren't of that realm. So you got to understand, a lot of times you are intimidating certain people who are not familiar with that, that way of living. But y'all are some really good people, man. Y'all like to kick it. Y'all like to do things at a leisure. And there's a lot of things that you can learn from a fire sign too, just, studying their nature. Especially me being an air sign, I've learned a lot from fire signs as far as just how to, play it cool, just kick it and just, kind of sit back a little bit. It's your boy, www.hoodx.com, K-Blao Hoodx. Sign up for hoodx.com. If you ain't subscribed to my channel yet, you are lame. Stay tuned for the HoodX Network. Shout out to everybody in the HoodX Television Network. If you want to get your video, subscribe to the TV station. Sign up for hoodx.com and post it in the HoodX TV network. I still got the Tinkerbell avatar and the Ebenezer Scrooge avatar coming soon. You can go look out for the White Rabbit avatar. I got about 15 seconds left. So I do want to say that I appreciate all the support, everybody who's leaving comments, everybody who's showing love. I love you back. Stay in tune with me. Peace.